because you will be protected if you're moving in grace and moving part of this higher ship. So the kind of things they're throwing at us to stop this coming shift in consciousness, as I said, include the assassination. They include 9/11 and other false flag operations like the 7/7 London bombings. They include the climate destabilization, and they include chemtrails. I'd like to say just a few words about chemtrails. How many people in this room have seen a chemtrail and know what they're looking at? It's almost everybody. Part of the reason I left the U.S., I got tired of arguing with people that up there that was left by a plane that went by 8 hours ago is natural. Because a condensation trail is the condensation, it's the condensation of the liquid vapors in the air differential. And the air is colder, the air coming out of the jet engine is hotter, so you have condensation. That disappears after the temperature equalizes. It follows the plane very quickly. A chemtrail will last indefinitely. Now I have a bit of breaking information that comes secondhand from a friend of mine who is friends with a former Army intelligence officer, 85 years old, living in Santa Cruz. His name is Robert. Now this guy has an interesting background because he was part of Operation Paperclip, which is the operation that brought the Nazi scientists after the end of World War II. They started the CIA with this Nazi mind control stuff, MK Ultra, the kind of things that Marcos brought up. Project Monarch and all these things, they're real. Google them. They're absolutely for real. I've studied them enough and I've talked to people that have been part of these programs and deprogrammed to know that this is not just urban legend. So this person that was part of Operation Paperclip, his job was housing the Nazi scientists that were brought over. And I asked my friend, well, did he mention names? Did he say who it was? And he said, well, all the big ones. And but he wouldn't, he wouldn't say too much more than that. But anyway, this person claims, this 85-year-old ex-Army intelligence officer, says that they're done with chemtrails. And my friend said, really, they're done? Why? And he said, because they've accomplished what they needed to accomplish. And he said, well, what was that? He wouldn't say. He did say one other thing. He said that, well, because my friend said, then what are chemtrails? What are they about? And he says, they're a weapon. And he wouldn't say anything more than that other than they're a weapon. So I take that to mean that they're a weapon, they're an interpersonal weapon, because I myself have, at one point in my life before coming to Ecuador, they've almost all gone away since coming to the sacred valley of Vilcabamba, but I had 10 of the 14 symptoms of chemtrail poisoning. An infection that won't go away, on and on, feeling tired, autoimmune things. I've managed to heal all of those being here. But in chemtrails, they have aluminum, they have barium, they're finding it in the snow, they're finding it in the water, they're finding these toxic chemicals, and they suppress our immune systems. So they're making us more susceptible to the flu that they've created. They don't do anything just willy-nilly. It's all a big mishmash. And they get people worried about the financial collapse, and then worried about their house, and then worried about the weather, and all, and then they're slowly killing us. And that's what their overall plan is massive depopulation. They want to eliminate all but a compliant, the low number I hear is 500 million. They might want to keep around 500 million that have chips that pretty much are selected to do what they're told. Fluoride in the water is another thing they're doing. Fluoride in the salt here in Ecuador is another thing they're doing. Fluoride destroys your pineal gland. You need your pineal gland to connect to your third eye and your higher self. You need that, and fluoride calcifies it. So they're doing all this stuff to get rid of us and to dumb us down. Look at the education system and on and on and on. There's no end to it. They control the media. They control Hollywood. This 7,000 people. So the question is what to do. That's what everybody wants to know. What can we do? I'm one person. The first thing to do is to understand that there is hope. Because if you do not have hope, if you are in fear, then they've already won. If you do or don't do something because you're afraid of what the consequences might be, they've won. Because now they control you. The only way that they haven't won, if people, as Ryan says, as Pondo has spent a lifetime doing, we're just going to do what we're going to do. So we're rolling out these energy technologies. We have no other choice. But also, it's important for us to educate our friends and family. Even though as a 9/11 truth activist, I've been called crazy by my own family, and I've suffered a lot, as was pointed out earlier. You get this place in your brain where there's, as Brian so astutely pointed out, that there's pain. And I've suffered pain being a 9/11 truth activist. I have degrees in physics and math, and I tell you, there's no way that those 19 Arabs, you know, their hate of America does not defy the laws of physics. You know, they couldn't possibly. The government's official conspiracy theory is physically impossible. And the fact that they got most Americans to believe it is just a good illustration of exactly how good these people are. These aren't, as Pondo says, stupid cops. These are some of the smartest people in the world, and they are working with alien technology and getting assist from aliens to implement their nefarious plans. So, what do? We're courageous. We don't let them frighten us, even though it's hard not to be frightened. And we tell our friends and family, and we organize. And that's why this initiative that Brian has talked about is so important. And I see agents around here. I mean, you know, I see them not on a daily basis, but I see, oh, there's one. And, you know, they know something's going on in Vilcabamba. They, global pathocrats. People are being tracked here. If you look around in this room and the indigenous people here and the locals here, there are a lot of people that are very aware, very astute people. This is a center. It's a sacred valley, so it's attracting people. It's attracting higher souls. And I personally think that this might be the place for first contact. That's what I'm putting out there. I welcome them in. Hey, we're ready. We've got a bunch of cool people. We're not going to shoot at you, you know. You know, we're going to be good. And, you know, so this might be what this is being set up for. Vilcabamba might be, because I've seen lights in the skies, red and green ones that are not airplanes. So this is one thing we might do some ceremonies around welcoming the higher consciousness in. And we can gather in circles and chant and have fire and bring in, have music, and bring in this kind of energy and welcome it in. So that's a concrete thing we can do. So that's pretty much the summary of my comments, that there is hope, that there's only hope. It's only hopeless if we believe these people, because they know what they're doing. These people are masters and mistresses of their art, of their trade, and they know what they're doing. And the main thing they want to do is destroy our sense of hope, because if people are hopeless, then they've won the game. They'll line up. You know, they'll go where they're told. They'll get their shot. You know, so stand up and say no. Understand that if you are afraid to die, you are afraid to live. You can't be afraid to die, because you have to know you're a spiritual being having a human experience, and not a human being having a spiritual experience. You cannot be killed. And if you live your life knowing that, hey, they really can't hurt me, and this is part of the Shasta Lili as the rain and the hail comes down. This is part of the dance of God is God. And we are all protected in that higher place, and we'll all join together, no matter who goes now and later, in that big dance when we have when we release this form. That's the conclusion of my comments. I'd like to